When a lot of people hear ABA, they think it only includes teaching at the table with discrete trials. This is not true. ABA has expanded to incorporate many, many different teaching procedures, including NET, or Natural Environment Teaching. We're talking all about how to incorporate natural environment teaching into our practice today.
Hi, I'm Shira.
And I'm Shayna.
We're behavior analysts that create weekly content about how to teach children with autism so that they make real progress. And we create shareable resources to make your job just a little easier. Today's topic is all about how to incorporate natural environment teaching. And if you want more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on new video releases.
So I've been in this field long enough that I actually remember when natural environment teaching became a formal thing. We had a center and a consultant came into our center. We set up whiteboards all over the walls so that we could write goals down on the whiteboards during natural environment teaching. We all thought, oh, natural environment teaching, this is going to be so easy because it's just play. But it was so challenging for so many people. We were so used to structured teaching at the table that when we had to bring it away from the table, we found it really, really difficult. And so did a lot of our learners.
So what is natural environment teaching, or NET? It's a term that's used for when skills are taught or generalized within the natural environment. And the reason that's so important is because we're teaching our learners so many skills, but if they can't use those skills in their real life, then how good are the skills that we've taught them?
So I've always been taught, we always need, when teaching skills, we always need to make sure that they're generalized to the natural environment. Shir and I are actually talking about a paradigm shift. Why do we need to generalize to the natural environment? We should actually just be teaching some of these skills in the natural environment. And, some people would argue, including sometimes myself also, but you don't get as many learning opportunities or trials in when you're teaching in the natural environment. But you could also argue, also myself, I argue with myself all the time, that teaching in NET or teaching in the natural environment is more meaningful. And a lot of the times it's more motivating for the child. So I've actually seen that you don't need as many trials in when you're teaching certain things in the natural environment. Also, when you're teaching skills in NET, you can often eliminate that last generalization component of the teaching step because the skills are already generalized.
And teaching in NET does not mean that it's free play and the child just really gets to do whatever they want and you're kind of following behind them. NET is intentional. Like, you're thinking about, I'm going to set up these play activities in this structure so that I'm going to try to get out some labels, or I'm going to use this, Mr. Potato Head to follow some instructions. So there is an intention required on your part and a lot of creativity. It's not just free play. And I think that's one of the common misconceptions about NET.
I mentioned at the beginning how, in the olden days, or when I first started, we put whiteboards around the teaching room. And sometimes I'll still do that when I'm creating programs. And that's really to focus the therapists on making sure that they understand that NET teaching really isn't just a free-for-all. There are structured goals. So we can write those structured goals on the whiteboard. And it's really cool because that way you don't need a clipboard to weigh you down during play. It's really just about, hey, I glance up, I see what the goal is, and I can continue with play.
And it doesn't have to be so formal either. If you're working on something at the table, maybe you're, matching community helpers or receptively IDing them, then, during their break time away from the table, maybe you play like a firefighter and you do a really fun, engaging activity that helps to generalize what they just learned at the table into some sort of natural environment. And that has to be a little bit facilitated and a little bit creative and somewhat reinforcing for the student, but that's really on you to create those opportunities in the natural environment.
NET should be really fun and not feel like work to the student. Model. It's not a series of questions. We're not throwing questions and demand in the natural environment. We're modeling a lot. We're throwing a lot out there. Greenspan, I know it's not quite ABA, but floor time approach, would talk about closing those circles of communication. And that's really what we're trying to do. We're modeling constantly. And then we pause, time delay, right? And we see whether or not the student can fill in those pauses with some responses that we're looking for.
And in terms of data, if you find that you're not getting lots of trials in, then think about a different way of collecting data. Maybe you do some probe data. or maybe you do some rating scale data. And that way you're not busy with a clipboard scribbling down every time there was a trial or an opportunity, but you're able to kind of gauge on a rating scale or probe level how well they were able to use their skill, show their skill, or generalize their skill. One of the really great ways to start playing in net or showing skills in net is with manding, doing lots of requesting in the natural environment. So if it's naturally snack time or it's naturally playtime, and your learner is learning how to say those words that are appropriate for those times, then start with manding and do it in the natural environment. And for more tips on how to teach manding to beginners, check out our blog on beginner requesting.
We also can teach kids who don't have any play skills at all. We can teach them how to play in the natural environment. And we have a video on that as well. So check out our video on how to teach kids who don't have any play skills.
For more information on how to incorporate natural environment teaching, click the link on or around this video or in the description to claim your free download of an NET datasheet. We also encourage you to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos, and leave a like and comment below if you have further questions.